Team, welcome back to another episode of Chess Man Dan's journey on his road to 1500 ELO. Today is a remarkable day on my journey in a sense we have finally hit 1000 ELO. We have crossed the 4 digit. I can now say I have as many numbers or digits in my ELO as Gotham Chess. So I'm going to be covering a game or two of how I got to 1000 and kind of explain how in 6 months I was able to get to 1000. 6 months is a reasonable time frame. According to AI, 6 months is above the curve, but it's a pretty realistic standard. As an adult who's going to school full time and has a full time job, you pretty it takes some dedication, but it's not as hard as people might think. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna show a couple games and kind of what I. So as we can see here, we are on my account. We have a big 14,000, 1,400 puzzles completed, and we're sitting at a 10-11 rapid. Now, I will say the biggest thing that has helped me out is puzzles. I have a decent understanding of the opening ideas with both white and black. As white, I play the London. As black, I play the Owens defense. And just figured puzzles have been the game changer that has broken my plateau. I have recently been I plateaued at around 800, 900 the past month or so. You can kind of see the chart. Everything is pretty in 800, mid 800s, low 900s. And recently, I got close to 1,000. But here's the game. Now you're gonna see here, there's quite a bit of games. Let's just go over to my game history. So it seems like there's a lot of wins. I think Chess.com, I have a 10 game win streak because a lot of these wins are non-rated against my wife, and there are some high levels, but there are quite a few games that a few moves my opponent either blunders or resigns. Like this game, he resigned in 2 moves, and the game that got me to 1,000. I'm gonna open. So as we can see here, it just was a 5 move game, and in the Owens defense, this was the game that got me to 1,000. So just a basic Owens defense. The analysis you can't see it due to the overlay, but it says it's a normal French variation. And here, the whole idea with the Owens defense is we're targeting the e4 pawn. Uh, we're gonna pin the knight, and a lot of variations too. So let's say they over defend this, so we go here. Actually, this is like a very mainline variation of the Owens defense. We go e4, they put two pawns in the center, they bring out the knight, we pin, we go here, they over defend this, we pin. Um, I think it's this. We go there, and let's say they bring out the knight, we will push. If they push, we push. If they castle, then we kind of have this kind of ordeal, and a lot of things could happen from there. What happened in the game is my opponent blundered his dark squared bishop. Pretty easy. Pretty easy. So I think there was like 2 or 3 games in my 10 game win streak in which I won that. So I've been giving few easy wins. So I'm just going to show you a game that I actually won, like a legitimate 1,000 level game. This was the last game I played in the 1,000 level, and it was an Owens defense, a 14 move game. Nothing too complicated. So we're going to upload our handy dandy evaluation bar. Starts D4, B6. This is the English defense. So, Owen's defense is E6, B6 is the system. However, I've been studying Gotham Chess's Owen's defense course, and against D4, I've seen instead of starting out with E6, he starts out with B6 because there's a whole chapter on how to play against the London. Then my opponent 2 pawns in the center. This immediately transposes to the Owen's defense. My opponent develops his knight to f3. I go knight f6. My opponent pushes, and then I go in the center. Very powerful knight. My opponent castles. I go f6, looking for a pawn break. This is definitely not the best move. My idea with the pawn break is that after takes, I will try to castle, and then I would control the f file. But maybe that was too premature. Um, Instead of going f6, I should have gone. The line is telling me to go f5. So f5. Just support the pawn and then have control of the center. That's not what happened. We go c4. Um, we go e5. He pushes. I take it over the center. My opponent castles. I go f6, looking for a pawn break. My opponent goes c4. Starts pushing his pawns. I go c5. My opponent pushes d5, and I take the well. The computer wanted me to do was to take. I don't know. d5. I take. My opponent takes. I now take back with the knight. My opponent checks me. I now put my bishop e7. My opponent moves his pawn, knight e5. I castle. Bishop f4. I now go d6, kicking out the knight. My opponent then moves his knight to f3. I go d4. I'm continuing to push. I don't know. Isn't the computer saying this is not the best move? My whole idea with this pawn structure is I wanted to lock the center, kind of block the queen's vision a little bit. It gives me some more time to develop. My opponent goes queen e2. The whole idea of queen e2 is that they're targeting this bishop, because if I'm not careful, if I'm all lackadaisical, let's say I do something dumb right here, my opponent will be up a bishop. So that's why I go knight c6, and then my opponent resigns. Don't know why he resigned. This game was not lost. However, yeah, he just that's what happened. So these were the last few games I've played as 1,000. Now, the biggest things that have helped me out was puzzles. Puzzles, puzzles, puzzles. Puzzles and patience. I also another thing, I've been playing for 6 months consistently. I've played and flirted with a few openings. In the beginning, I was playing the Vienna as white and the Caro-Kann as black. I did plateau around the 700s, and then I switched back to the London. And I was still doing okay. I had like a 47% win rate, and that was because I did not understand the Caro-Kann. So then I switched to Owen's defense. So my advice to anyone who was looking to get playing chess later in life: learn any opening you want, but find an opening that is solid, that sticks with opening principles, and stick with it. There's no need to constantly change your repertoire. Uh, if your goal is to get as good as you can, because if you're constantly switching your repertoire, especially at lower ELO ranges, you're not learning. It's just you're not learning what the openings provide. So I think I'm going to stick with London and the Owens defense and see how far I get. And maybe once we get to 1200, we'll look into switching up or look into switching up a opening. Yeah, this was kind of a shorter video. I just wanted to celebrate the fact that I am now 1,000 and more to come. Thanks to all those who watched.